صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Let's recite a salawat, please.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So if you all can get settled down, inshallah, we will start the first of the 3 days of speeches that I want to share with you. And inshallah, we'll have a chance to learn and understand some things, and hopefully it will give us a chance to better ourselves and get closer to Imam Hussain. The subject of art. Art is a subject that many people like to talk about, but no one wants to take part in. Art is one of those subjects that an artist, anyone who takes it on themselves, end up to die poor, and all the money is made after he dies. Right? And art is a subject that has a huge disparity in what Muslims think of it and what Islam thinks of it. What is the role of art in Islam, and what is the role of art amongst Muslims? When you look at the Muslim people, our own community, you see art is something that is looked down upon, even to the extent of us not actually condoning it, but condemning it. If anyone amongst us, a youngster amongst us, wants to do a major in art, then he is hiding himself in shame from other people and trying to tell them that he is trying to be an artist. Because if he does tell any of the uncles or aunties in the community that he's going to be an artist, then he'll get two things for free. Free advice and a free lecture about how not to waste his life. Right? So obviously, art doesn't have a huge place in our community. And when we think of art, we don't even give it that importance, thinking that, what does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with my akhirah? What does this have to do with my hereafter? In fact, art is something superfluous, something that we really don't need, something that we can do without. We can not be an artist or have anything to do with art, and we can just go forward and live our lives and still, alhamdulillah, go to heaven, and we won't be asked about this at all. Now the question is this what Islam thinks about art? What is the view of Islam and what is the view of Allah regarding art? And this is a subject that we want to discuss, art. Why are we discussing this subject over here? And you might be thinking, this is going to be like 3 long days of talking about art, and what does this have to do with anything? Right? Let me raise some really issues for you, right? And then we can answer them over the 3 days. Maybe these questions that I raise for you might make you start thinking as to the importance of art in Islam. My friends, understand this. It is. You don't need art to be a Muslim. But can anyone who does not know art be with Imam Hussain? Can anyone who doesn't know art or who's not an artist end up in Karbala? Yes, you can be a Muslim, but can you end up with Imam Hussain if you are not an artist? You'll be like, really? If I tell you that everyone in Karbala who died with Imam Hussain was an artist, and you will be like, where are you getting this from? But here's where we are going to go to. My friends, the importance of art in Islam and why it's important. What we need it for. In fact, really, the reason I'm raising this subject is because we, Mu'mineen and Shias, have one goal, one wish. We all have one wish. And that wish is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that one wish is that you and I as a Shia want to be with Imam Hussain. Isn't that our wish? Isn't that what we are told to wish for? Isn't this what we say in Ziyarat-e-Warisa when we say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum? I wish I was with you. Isn't that our wish to be with Imam Hussein? So now, is that established that we all wish to be with Imam Hussein? So, do you wish to be with Imam Hussein?
Yes.
Alright, let's make it easy for me and say salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So if you all wish to be with Imam Hussein, wishing is one thing, but how do you get there? That's a whole different thing. How do you get to him? How do you reach Karbala? That is what we are here to learn about, because we want to get there. That's our wish. Now Allah, I have that wish. I want to get there. I want to know how to get there. I want to know how I can make myself reach there to Imam Hussein. My friends, that is why we are discussing this subject. One of the reasons that we are learning this subject, and of course, this is a thing that a lot of people don't expect or don't anticipate, because of the fact that they are so used to not going deeper into Karbala, or just only learning the lessons that have already been learned. I don't know about you, in my experience, when I used to listen to speeches and all these things all the time, it used to sound like when you look at Imam Hussein and his mission and his goals, and the lessons that we learn from him are restricted to a certain amount of lessons. For example, he is Mazloom, he is Shaheed, he's a martyr, he was oppressed, and he is the Imam and he's Masoom, and hence, these are the lessons. When we go to speeches, it used to sound, I'm not listening to many speeches, but it's the experience that I have. It used to sound like a broken record every year, and I was just saying that, really, is it that Imam Hussein only taught these lessons to us? Or did he teach more than that? Did he teach more than that? My friends, I just want to answer these questions before I go to the subject that we are dealing with. Send us salawats. Now you have read by many of the Imams that they have always emphasized Imam Hussein. Isn't that the case? They emphasize Imam Hussein in every occasion, whether it's Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Ghadir, any Eid, any important occasion in Islam, they said, read the Ziyarat of Hussein. Go and do the Ziyarat of Hussein. Why are they emphasizing Imam Hussein? And they all wanted us to focus on Imam Hussein. So Imam Hussein became the focus. So we went to Imam Sadiq, and Imam Sadiq said, go to Imam Hussein. We went to Imam Ali said, go to Imam Hussein. Okay, I go to Imam Hussein. Why? What is the reason, my friends? Did Imam Sadiq teach us Islam? Did Imam Ali teach us Islam? So why this focus and attention on Imam Hussein more than Imam Ali? Or more than Imam Sadiq, or Imam Rada, or any of the Imams for that matter? Why is it that they are emphasizing Imam Hussein? Did you ever notice that? Did you ever think about that? Why are they emphasizing Imam Hussein for? Every time I go to Imam Sadiq says, alright, here, you know what? You learn this, but go to Hussein. You learn Islam there. Okay, I go there. My friends, it's not that Imam Hussein is different from the other Imams. But the one thing that happened with Imam Hussein that makes him special is not that he is more knowledgeable than the other Imams. It has nothing to do with that. But the circumstances that Imam Hussein found himself in was very unique. So unique that Islam and the teachings of Islam found clarity in Karbala. Sometimes you see Imam Ali was in circumstances where he could not make certain things clear to people. People were confused. Really. Half the people, if they had an election there, 50% of the people would vote for Muawiyah. And you'll be wondering, wow, we got 50% nutheads here? And that's the harsh part, right? I mean, Imam Ali isn't able to make himself clear that he is right, that he is the obvious choice, and 50% of the people are voting for Muawiyah? Really? That's the confusion that's there. There's no denying it. For us, it's very clear. Yeah, Ali, Ali, we say it all the time. But they have an anti-party also, right? And in their party, they really are not with Imam Ali. And there's a lot of them there. So my friends, understand this. There was confusion. In the time of Imam Sadiq also, there was confusion. In the time of Imam Rada, there was confusion. Every Imam's time, you see, there was confusion somewhere or the other where the teachings of Islam became blurred. The reason the Imams emphasized Imam Hussein is because Imam Hussein found himself in a circumstance where Islam can have the clearest and the most obvious picture without any blurriness and without any sort of ambiguity or confusion. You see this? Imam Hussein found himself in that. So the idea is that they emphasize Imam Hussein is because they said you can learn Islam in the most clearest fashion, in the most obvious fashion without any doubt if you go to Hussein. Now, if Hussein became the clearest lens for Islam, like for example we go to an optometrist and he puts this letters on the wall, and then he puts certain sort of lenses for us, right? You see one lens is a little blurry, and I can't see too well, and then we hit the right one. It becomes all clear, right? So the message is the same, right? But the lens that was available for Imam Hussein was the clearest lens that we can see Islam through. So my friends, if Imam Hussein brought out the clearest lens for us to see Islam through, I want to ask one question, and I want you to think about this before you answer this. Understand this very well, and I want to ask this question, and you think about this. If Imam Hussein was the clearest lens for Islam that no other Imams could have been, and Imam Hussein was the one, so now tell me, did Imam Hussein use that opportunity to teach all of Islam, or did he teach some of Islam? Think about it. If this is the only opportunity that all of Ahlul Bayt had to teach the clearest message of Islam, did Imam Hussein say, okay, you know what? I can only teach you 3 lessons here, the rest of it you go to Imam Sadiq. Or Imam Rada. This Ahlul Bayt is one character. And if that is the time when Islam became the clearest, then the obvious thing is that Imam Hussein taught all of Islam in Karbala. He taught all of Islam in Karbala. Everything that you need to know about Islam has been taught by Imam Hussein in Karbala. You don't need to go anywhere else. The clearest and the most obvious form of Islam can be found in the life of Imam Hussein in a way that you cannot find anywhere else. And everything has been taught there. Everything has been given by Imam Hussein. So now, if we think that Imam Hussein stands for being Mazloom and being Shaheed, and that's about it, then we are the ones who are mistaken, and we are the ones who are not deep, and we are really shallow, that we are unable to dig out all the messages and all the lessons that Imam Hussein has for us. We are the ones who are lacking, not Imam Hussein. And this is the reason why we need to challenge ourselves. Let's look a little bit deeper and to see what is the next lesson we can learn about Imam Hussein, and then we go forward from there, and we will have more appreciation for Imam Hussein. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So my friends, the subject that we are talking about is art. Is art. What is art, and why is it important in Islam, and why is it that without knowing art and without being an artist, you cannot be a shaheed with Imam Hussein? And here is where we now start to think. So let me start off this subject by going into another subject that's going to become a prelude for our subject. Send the salawats. And the subject that we want to go in is the subject of beauty. Beauty is a subject in itself. It is a quality that the source of which is Allah. One of Allah's name is Al-Jamil, beautiful. And just like Ar-Rahman, just like Ar-Rahim, just like any other name of Allah which is inherently a quality of Allah in its essence, beauty is also an essence, an essential quality of Allah. Allah is beautiful. And hence, if Allah is beautiful, then everything that Allah has created, He has given this quality in that creation to be beautiful. Everything that Allah has created, this name of Allah is shown in that quality. So when Allah, for example, gives us something, it cannot be ugly. It cannot be distasteful. It has to be beautiful. Why? Because Allah's name is beautiful. Allah is beautiful. And if Allah creates something and sends something to you, it has to be beautiful. And we might be thinking, wow, this is a subject which is more talked about in the world and by worldly people, probably in Hollywood, than in masjids or Husainiyas or in the majlis of Imam Hussain. And it's unfortunate that that is the case. It's really unfortunate that is the case. Because if Allah is beautiful, then beauty is something that we all have. And hence when Allah sends something, it has to be beautiful. It has to be beautiful. And this is why, where we start our subject from, my friends. The importance of beauty in Islam and what does it mean? When Allah sends His religion, my friends, it has to be beautiful. And Allah says that in the Quran. Let me read this ayat for you if you send a loud salawats. My friends, Allah says this. Why? Because deen of Islam is from Allah. The deen of Islam is from Allah. And if Islam is from Allah, then Allah says, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانِ. He says Allah has made faith, Iman, Islam endearing to you, adorable, lovable. Islam is what? Islam is something that is lovable. When you look at Islam, it is lovable. وَزَيَّنَّاهُ fi qulubikum, and He has made it beautiful in your hearts. In other words, my friends, understand this clearly what Allah is saying in the Quran. Allah is saying that Islam is beautiful and Islam is adorable, and in your hearts, when you look at Islam, it must be appealing to you. It must be attractive to you. In other words, my friends, the message that came from Allah, the messengers that came from Allah, all of them are attractive and all of them are beautiful to the common understanding of man. When a person looks at Islam, when a person looks at Allah's religion, it looks attractive and you're like, wow, that's nice. That looks good. It's never distasteful. It's never ugly. It's never repelling. You know, it can't be that, for example, something comes from Allah and says, oh, that's disgusting, but it's Islam, you have to follow it. What? It can't be. Whatever comes from Allah, Allah is saying it is beautiful. It's a declaration of Allah that Allah is saying that Islam is beautiful. Islam is adorable. Islam is lovable. When you see Islam and hear Islam, then you feel attracted towards it as a human being. You're attracted to what Allah's deen tells you. You're attracted towards it. It's appealing. It's never ugly. So if something, in other words, now, if we can take that, what Allah is saying, this declaration, so what does that mean? What it means is that if you hear something, someone is saying Islam and preaching Islam to people, someone is preaching Islam to you, and by preaching Islam, it is not too attractive. It's not too adorable, it's not too lovable, it's not endearing, a little bit distasteful. If he's saying that this is Islam, my friends, anything that comes to you that is distasteful and ugly and is not attractive, it could be anything else, but it cannot be Islam. It can be anything else, it cannot be Islam, because Allah is declaring Islam is beautiful. For everyone, for all people. When you hear Islam, you're like, wow, that makes sense. That's really nice. That looks good. You know, it has to be like that. Allah is declaring it. And hence, from here we get the idea that beauty is so important that when you look at Islam, when Islam, the message comes to you and you don't find it beautiful, it cannot be Islam. It cannot be Islam. Because Allah is promising that Islam is going to be beautiful. Islam is going to be lovable. And from here we start understanding what does this mean. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. My friends, understand this really well, how we are going to approach this. And it's important that we understand and decide how this actually works. Then we'll get an appreciation of how to approach Imam Hussein. One angle of approaching Imam Hussein, and what does this mean? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You know, this is the reason why you, as a Muslim who wants to submit to Allah and Islam, the deen that you should get is different than the deen that ulama give. You'll be like, what is he talking about? I'm saying it, friends. Now I said it, I can't take it back. What does that mean? Understand this. Scholars, what they give, people read that, and that's how they get turned off from Islam. They read the books of Ayatullahs, and once you read that book, the whole energy that you had, the faith and inspiration that you had, it just goes away like a flat tire. And you're like wondering, wow, I read this book, and why am I now feeling empty? I think I should be more inspired to do that. Why is that? My friends, people really, the way that you should get Islam is different than the way that those scholars are writing Islam. The reason is because those scholars who are writing Islam, they are writing to defend Islam from people who don't believe in it. An atheist, agnostic, Christian, Jew, whatever. He's out there and he is, for example, saying that, you know what, Islam has this flaw, Islam has this, Islam has that. And they're trying to pick on Islam and trying to make it look bad. So what this Ayatollah is doing, in replying to that person who doesn't believe, he's writing a book. And when he writes a book, in order to prove to that person who doesn't believe that that book is meant for that person, not you. When you read that book, which is meant for a kafir, an agnostic, your approach to Islam is completely different than the kafir's approach to Islam. The Ayatollah, whoever it is, big name Ayatollahs, you can read all their books, right? And that's why a lot of people don't get impressed by it, because they are trying to prove Islam to people who don't believe it. And here we are, in this situation, who are consumers of Islam. We don't need to be proven that Islam is right. Rasulullah doesn't need to come to us and give us ayat after ayat to prove that why Allah is right. If Rasulullah comes to us, we'll be like, Rasulullah, you don't have to prove anything. You had me at Salaam Alaikum. That's it. I'm yours. I'm really yours. You don't need to prove anything to me. I'm sold. Yes, you're sold. Now, the way you need Islam is completely different. The way that you should get Islam is different. A lot of us, we approach Islam through these books, and because these books are not meant for you, they're meant for kafirs or agnostics who are questioning Islam. They're there to prove that you're not there to defend Islam. You're there to take Islam and live Islam and enjoy Islam. And hence the way you should be given Islam is completely different, my friends. And what we are looking for is the beauty in it. We already know Islam is right. I just need to get that beauty so that I can come to Islam and start falling more in love with it and truly starting to live it with an inspiration. Sometimes we feel that, you know what, we pray and we do all these things, but why is it that after all these prayers that we do, we have not gained our inspiration, we actually have lost the inspiration that we used to have. The energy that we used to have. We have lost that energy. If you look at us, and this is exactly what's happening with us. I want to ask you that question. Do you feel that, for example, after all these years of listening to lectures, this and that, you have grown stronger in energy? And you feel that, wow, now I'm the best shape? Or were you the best shape 20 years ago? Ask yourself the question, why are we going down? Why is it that we are becoming more cynical and negative? Why is it that we are, for example, saying, yeah, whatever, been there, done that. Let's go for ziyarat, yeah, been there, done that. Hajj, whatever, you know? Wow, I mean, what happened, man? You used to be like, you know, energetic, full of life, inspiration, and all of a sudden you're just like, wow, what happened to you? My friends, the reason this is happening, not because you have done something wrong or anything like that. It's not about sin. Don't look for the sins inside of you. That's not the reason. Because here's the problem. A lot of mu'mineen, they approach Islam through reasoning and logic instead of approaching it to the beauty that Islam has in it. Allah doesn't introduce Islam as being reasonable and rational and logical. Allah doesn't say faith is logical. Look at the logic of faith. Faith is reasonable. Look at the reasoning of faith. Allah says that faith is beautiful. Look at the beauty of faith. Habbaba ilaykumul iman. Allah has made it beautiful. Look at the beauty. And then when you approach it through the beauty, then you will be inspired. And then your Islam will be completely on a higher plane than that uninspired, low energy Muslim life that we end up living. It's like, yeah, whatever, you know, we heard all the ulama, you know. That's it? That's your energy? My friends, why? Because we approach it in the wrong way and we took Islam from sources that we shouldn't have taken it from. Not bad sources, good sources also that are not meant for you. Books of ulama that are not meant for you. Go and learn those people who have, you know, written those books through love and through beauty. And then you will see, wow, I feel better already. Imam Hussein gave Islam through beauty. Yes. Imam Hussein gave Islam through beauty. And I'll come to that. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And many times we see ourselves, right? We also give Islam in that dry and horrible way. How we give Islam, right? When we give Islam to the people, it's always the same thing. How do you describe Islam? What does it mean to you? Just one example. For example, dua. What is dua? Dua is supplication. That's it? That's what dua means for you? That's what you view dua as? You see, just an example I want to give you. How does Imam Ali teach you about dua? Just a simple subject of dua. How does he approach it? How does he make you think about it? Look at that, how Imam Ali says it. What is dua? When we say what is dua, we say, you know, dua is when you ask Allah for something and this and that, right? That's what dua is. But Imam Ali, when he says about dua, you know what he says? My friends, understand this. Just in one sentence, Imam Ali describing dua, and see how he described it, and then think, was that from the point of view of logic and reasoning, or is it from the point of view of beauty? Look at it that way. Imam Ali says that all the treasures of everything is in the hands of Allah. Every treasure that you're looking for is in Allah's hands. is in Allah's hands. He has it in His hands. You don't have it. He has it. But Allah has given the keys of those treasures to you. You can open it anytime and take anything out of there. And that key is dua. You see how He made you think. Think not about the logic of dua and the reasoning of dua, but more about that beautiful picture of what dua is. When a person starts thinking about that, that's when he actually starts to now, wow, fall in love with something. I'm falling in love with this. I have the keys in my hands, really? Of all the treasures of Allah in my hands, that I can open it anytime I want. There are no hours. No hours. It's open 24/7. Open it and take what you want from there. I can take whatever I want. Yes, you can. Any restrictions? No restrictions. Subhanallah. You see, we start falling in love. But unfortunately, the way we teach Islam is so dry that even if a kid or someone is inspired to Islam, you take all the fun away from Islam. You know, you want proof of that? Go to any Sunday school, you'll see it. How you can take the fun out of Islam, you know, and make Islam so dry and boring that anyone who's even inspired to even come towards Allah will run away at the end. Why is that? Because of the fact that we don't approach it in the right way. It's not that what we are doing is wrong. It's that we haven't approached it in the way that Ahlul Baig have given Islam to us. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, regarding beauty, let me give the importance of beauty to you, my friends, in order that we understand this. And I'm going to give it from the point of view of haters, of enemies. Right? And we have to sometimes learn from haters. Allah gave the example of shaitan and said, learn from shaitan. And we're like, what, Allah, we learn from shaitan, how about Ahlul Bayt? No, learn from shaitan also. It'll help you. Right? Okay, so some haters also, I'll bring some examples so that we understand the importance of beauty and why it's important. My friends, you know, one of those haters that Islam had, and who were our nemesis for a long time, amongst Muslims, this and that, are the, obviously, old faithful British. Right? They're the old faithful because they have always been around, they're always up to trouble, you know. And hence, when you look at the British, you know, they came to the Muslim world to conquer it, to rule over it, and we saw that they were there for a few hundred years. And we all know that because we all are affected by their rule and by what the legacy that they have left for us. But what's interesting is this: when they came to the Muslim world, obviously they came to rule and to get things out of it. And what they did is this, right? They did an analysis of what is the strengths of Muslims and how can we make them weak. Now, in that list of things that are now published, you can go and read them, right? Of things that they have published about what they can do to make Muslims weaker. And what are the strengths of Islam and how we can make it weak for them. In that list, my friends, understand this. This is who are writing this. The British are writing this regarding Muslims and how to make them weak. In the recommendations that they give to make Muslims weak, I'll just read two of them for you. Two recommendations for you, right, that they have given. And if you take this away from them, Muslims will become weak. What is that? The number one, and I'm saying specifically about Shias here. Specifically about Iraq and Iran and about Shias. They said that the Shias, their strength, one of their strengths is that they're attracted towards their holy places, their sacred sites, the haram of the imams. This is attraction for them. They come here and they take energy from here. And this energy gives them life again. Every time you go for ziyarat, you get a renewed lease on faith. And then you go forward with it. They recognize that. He says, okay, what should we do? What can we do to separate the people, not from ziyarat, because people will come for ziyarat, but how can we take the effect of ziyarat away from them? How can we take the effect of ziyarat away from them? You know what they did? The recommendation that they gave is this. He says Karbala, Najaf, Mashhad, all these places, if we want to take the effect of those places away from them and make them weaker, then relegate those places and make them dirty. Make them dirty and unorganized. Make those places dirty and unorganized so that when they come there to the imams, they will look at the dirt and the unorganization and the disgusting sights that are around them. It will take away the effect of ziyarat. They recognize that Shias make these places beautiful. If you can take the beauty away from them, people will start to lose effect of these ziyarat. That's exactly what happens, my friends. It's a psychological thing. It's not something new. I mean, if you look at human psychology, that's how it works. You know, for example, a social experiment that was done in New York. New York, in a bad neighborhood in New York where, for example, there's crime and all these things. What they did as a social experiment, they said, you know what, let's do something. Let's do the windows of the buildings in this neighborhood. Redo them, make them look good. So they did the windows, just the windows, make them look good. New windows for all the apartment buildings in this one neighborhood. And the neighborhood started looking better. And when the neighborhood started looking better, then in a few years, the crime went down. People started feeling better about themselves. And now no one wanted to make the place dirty. Just by that. You see, this is how human psychology works. If you see a clean thing, you feel better about it. You gain more from it. You come to a masjid, for example, you go to a Husainiyah, you know, and that is itself a jihad nowadays. Go to an Islamic center, itself is a jihad because, you know, you gotta go through all the muck and the dirt, and then, especially if you have to go to the bathrooms there. You know, you make sure that you don't have to use the bathroom so you don't drink a lot of chai or water, lest you have to go to the bathroom and really suffer. Right? And it's unfortunate. Why is that the case? It shouldn't be the case. But what happens is that when you have this idea about Islam Center, then the message that you get from it is also devalued. Is devalued. Now whatever is being said from the mimbar is losing its value because of the environment and the uncleanliness of the environment. This is what happens. Why is Islam emphasizing cleanliness for? The reason is sometimes because when you get deen in a clean environment, it has more effect on you. And this is why those enemies, they emphasize that. They said, make them dirty, make those places dirty, so that the effect of ziyarat can be nullified. First recommendation. Second recommendation that they give. They said that, you know, one of the strengths of the Shias is their scholars. And people go to their scholars. And that's where they get the strength from. Really. Even the enemies recognize that scholars and the people going to them and having a strong relationship with scholars is the secret of our strength and power. So now you can understand that if anyone is propagating amongst us for people to go away from scholars and to get away from scholars, they're only weakening us and hurting all of us. The strength of our people was that they go to scholars and they stick with them. So they said that we need to get the people away from the scholars. We need to get the people away from ulama. How do we do that? 3 recommendations they gave. 3 recommendations. Look at this. He said that the strength of the scholars. Now, I'm talking about 300 years ago, 200 years ago, right? He said the strength of their scholars, of the Shia scholars. You know what that is? They mentioned three strengths. They didn't mention knowledge. They didn't mention taqwa. Or they didn't mention practice. None of these things. You know what they mentioned? 3 strengths that they have that attract the people to them again and again and again. It's not the knowledge. They didn't mention knowledge. And we're talking about haters here who want to hurt us. They're saying there are three strengths that the ulama have. You know what it is? Number one, they're smiling all the time. They're smiling. Two, they always look good. They make themselves look good. Three, they're always clean. So if we can make them dirty, make them not look good and shabby, and make them lose their smile, in other words, become 100% Maulai, then you know what? People, you don't have to tell the people to go away from them, they will run away from them. And that's exactly how people lost their relationship with the ulama. If you look at the ulama, when you go to and meet the maraji and this and that, you'll see how they're always smiling, how they're always looking good, how they're always so attractive that you want to be with them. They're so approachable. And then when you have these scholars who, for example, always look mean because they think that, you know, being a jihadi and being an inqalabi and a wilayati and all these things mean that you need to put the meanest face that you can on your face, so that the people know that you're serious. So even if they think of coming close to you, they wouldn't think again. You know, that's exactly what it is. They make themselves look like this. And this, they were saying, is the strength of the Shias. Then there's scholars. My friends, this is the reason, the importance of beauty. Beauty is what makes us practice Islam in a much higher level than trying to practice it through logic and reasoning. And our fault in our lack of inspiration is that we're always approaching Islam through logic and reasoning instead of looking at the beauty of Islam and falling in love with it. More and more and more. That is the mistake that we're making. And how important is it for us to look good? The beauty of it, I'll explain that. How important it is to look good, my friends. I don't know how much time we have. 8:50, right? Overtime, under time. I'm sorry, I didn't even ask about it before I went up there, right? How long should I speak for?
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
Alright, so, you know, again, one more point and inshallah, and that's it for today, right? We'll go forward with that, right? Just understand the beauty, right? What's the importance of beauty in Islam? The emphasis on beauty. What does it mean, my friends? You know, in the hierarchy of needs, you know, we have certain needs. Human beings have certain needs. Has nothing to do with Islam. Let's go out of Islam right now and just talk about human needs. Human requirements. What do you need? So, philosophers have listed out the hierarchy of needs. You know, you get different needs, and then they have prioritized them. For example, you need life, and anything that supports life. So it's a need, like water, air. You know, you take air away from you, you die. So what's more important, water or air? They say, well, air is more important because you die in 2 minutes. And water is less important because you can go on for a little bit more. So hierarchy of needs is that air is more important than water, right? Then, you know, it goes down. Shelter, and home, and respect, and dignity. All of these are human needs, right? And people have listed these needs in different ways. You can look it up in the encyclopedia, you know, different people have listed human needs in the hierarchy of human needs in different ways according to what they think is important. But they all agree that beauty and the need to beautify oneself and to look beautiful is also a need. All of them agree on that. But the need is not as important as air and water and other things, right? So the sense of beauty or the need of beauty is way down there in the list of needs. No one in the world says, listen, you know, if you have the choice between water and mascara, choose mascara. They say that if you choose mascara, you need to be counseled. Right? You need to go to counseling. Right? And so what happened is that's what happens. The need for looking good is like way down there. It is a need. They all agree it's a need, but it's way down there in the list. Really. No one says that, hey, you know what? We need to look good in spite of all these things. No one says that. My friends, what did Islam say? What did Islam say? You know what Islam says regarding this? In the hierarchy of needs? You know what Islam says? Islam says, listen, in spite of all the needs that you have, water, air, dignity, self-respect, shelter, whatever needs you have, in spite of all of that, you choose the need to look good above that. Wow. Islam is the opposite. I want you to get the idea of what a psychology of a mu'min, of a believer is. And hopefully in the next 2 days, it will become clear for you. Really? Mom is saying, so what do? We got rent and we got perfume. What should I take care of first? Subhanallah. And now we're like, what do we do with this? My friends, let me ask you a question. How much of your money, of your own money, is spent on looking good? And how much of your money is spent on the other needs that you have, like rent and bills and other things that you have? You all do your own budgeting, right? How much money do you have to spend on this and that? In fact, when it comes to these things, the life of a normal mu'min person, who you might regard as muttaqi, right, is what? Is that, listen, we need to do our rent and all these things first before we take care of looking good. In fact, looking good, the money that's spent for looking good comes from our savings, not for our income. It's a part of our savings, right? It's like, for example, even past homes. Right? Homes, Allah has discounted you so much, not on your income, on your savings, and that too 1/5 of your savings, and that too we have a hard time taking it out. Now imagine this, when you want to look good on one hand, where do you take the money from? So if you have done your calculations, now let me give you a role model. A role model by which you can compare yourself and see whether your lifestyle is like him or it's not. Whether your spending is like him or it's not. And why not? Then we can go into that, my friends. Understand this, that's it. That's it for today. My friends, how much money do you spend on looking good? You can calculate that and you might see in your own expenses that it's way down there. It's way down there. But did you know that our role model, yours and mine, role model, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the messenger of Allah, the prophet of Allah, the most beloved of Allah, the best man to walk on earth, that prophet used to spend on the average 1/3 of his income on perfumes and looking good. Can you imagine yourself spending 1/3 of your income, not savings, income, on looking good? I just want you to pay attention. What kind of a person was the prophet? What kind of a person was he? That you would think that 1/3 of his income he spends on what? On perfumes and looking good? What kind of a person was he? Think about it. And I'll give more examples, inshallah, in the next 2 days as to what this means and where we are going with this. But the importance of looking good, the importance of beauty, the importance of enhancing the sense of beauty that we have within ourselves, that is a quality in ourselves, is essential for being a mu'min. And once a person enhances that, then his thinking also changes and his view on things also change. His view on things change. When you, for example, look at what happened to Imam Hussein, and I don't need to go far, look at the nohas and the latmiyas and the sinazani that has been written on Imam Hussein. Sometimes it is ghastly. It is horrendous how they look at Imam Hussein and they view Imam Hussein as. Sometimes you're like, wow, where did you get this idea from? You know, words like, you know, he was helpless. Was he? Hey, really? Imam Hussein was helpless? You know, he had no help, you know, it was nothing. Wow. Was he like that? What was our view? What is our view? I don't need to go far, as I said. Just look at the words that have been written about Imam Hussein, and sometimes you think, who was writing these things about Imam Hussein? In fact, when you read the notes and the sinas that he has done on Imam Hussein, it's the same thing that Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad said. Same thing that he said. Because when he saw Imam Hussein, he says, too bad. That's just so bad. What happened to him? Really? If Allah really loved him, you know, then he would have given him something better. You know, but the way he treated with Hussein says that Allah did not like him, and that's it. Such a bad thing to happen. No one should go to this. Wow. That's his view. He's giving this view in front of everyone and saying this. How horrible, look at this, what happened. It's terrible what happened to Hussein. Terrible what happened to Imam Hussein. You know? And when Zainab heard that, she right away retorted, what are you talking about? You're talking about as if Imam Hussein and those who are with him are some sort of helpless people who had no choice or something. He says, but Ibn Ziyad said, but that's what I see. I see that they're helpless, and I see that Allah has cursed them, and I see that Allah has put them down and made them horrendously killed. And Zainab, in retort to that, says, I don't know how you're looking at it, but the way I'm looking at it, وَمَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا, I have not seen anything except that Imam Hussein has drew a masterpiece of painting in Karbala. What Imam Hussein did in Karbala is a masterpiece. Can't you see that? Don't you see what Hussein has done? And the people that Hussein has done? He has done it. Why couldn't Ubaydullah see it? Because his sense of beauty is dead. He couldn't see it. Only those people can see Karbala in the right light are the people whose sense of beauty is high in their hearts, in themselves. That quality is high. Then you will know, wow, subhanallah, this is the true picture. This is the right way of looking at it. It was a masterpiece. Imam Hussein painted a masterpiece in Karbala that no person has done it before, and no one would dare do it after. This is it. Every stroke was so brilliant, and every shahada was so exquisite that when you look at each and everything, you can dive into a world if a person just looks at it from the sense of beauty. But if you don't look at it that way, it's just an event that happened and that's it. It's over. La ilaha. Just one example I'll give you, my friends. You know, if you can just see how important this stroke, every brush stroke that Imam Hussein used in Karbala was so exquisite, was so delicate, was so subtle, that it is amazing. Allah obviously is the master who's behind this. Hussein is the means behind it. But when you see the painting being painted there, and you see the artwork that's being done there, then you start to appreciate, wow, this is a whole universe by itself. I need to look at it from a whole different view than what I was looking at before. One stroke that Imam Hussein dealt with in Karbala was that brush stroke that is called Abul Fazl Abbas. The one stroke, Abul Fazl Abbas. My friends, you know, Abul Fazl Abbas is special. Really, he's special. I don't know why we think that, but I know it's so. Because I know from the hadith it's so. I know from what Imam Ali used to do, it's so. I know what Imam Sajjad said, that it's so. You know, Imam Sajjad said, Inna Ammi al-Abbas darajatan indallah, that my uncle Abbas has a place in the hereafter. That all the Anbiya will be looking at Abbas and they will be aspiring to be in his place. And they'll be looking at him and saying, who is he that he has gained that height? Imagine that. Abbas is like that, right? I just want you to just see what the stroke is. I'm not going to read any Masayib of Abbas. I'm not going to read any Musibat of Abbas, my friends. I just want you to see who Abbas is. You know, it is said that in the Seerat of the Prophet, this is Seerat. When you look at someone's Seerat, it means his way of life, then you get an idea from it as to what he used to think about it. For example, the Seerat of the Prophet says that whenever Imam Ali used to come in the gathering of Rasulullah, whenever he used to come in the gathering of Rasulullah, any place, no matter where it was, no matter what Rasulullah is talking about, no matter what he is doing anywhere, wherever Imam Ali used to come there, Rasulullah would not look at anybody else but Ali. He would just stare at Ali and that's it. He would not look left and right. He would just look at Ali and he would talk to others. Sometimes people used to complain that he is prejudiced, that he is one-sided, that he's playing favoritism with Ali. But he used to just look at Ali and that's it. He would talk to others but he would look at Ali, just stare at Ali, as if someone is in love. Someone is in love. That's how he would stare at Imam Ali, right? And from there we understand that what Rasulullah thought of Imam Ali. He was in love with Imam Ali. He was in love with Imam Ali. And you know what? When we look at the Seerat of Ali, when we look at his way of life, you will see that in any gathering that Ali was, it didn't matter who sat with him. Whether it was Imam Hassan who sat with him or Imam Hussein who sat with him. In every gathering that Imam Ali used to sit in, it is said that whenever Abul Fazl Abbas used to walk in that gathering, Ali would start staring at Abbas. He would start staring at Abbas, he would just look at him, he would not look anywhere else. Hussein is present there, but he would be looking at Abbas. He would be staring at Abbas. Then from there we understand, Abbas, who are you? Who are you to be like that? And sometimes we need to understand this, my friend. I just want to give you what this stroke is that Allah is making. Who is Abbas and what he meant for Imam Hussein in Karbala. Do you even understand what he means for Imam Hussein? When Abbas fell to the ground, Imam Hussein held his back. He held his back not just because it's some sort of a gesture, he held it because it started to break. It actually broke. He couldn't stand up. He held his back and said, Abbas, Aran inqatara dhahri. Allah, Abbas, my back has been broken. I have run out of options, Abbas. My back has been broken and I have run out of options, Abbas. With your death, it's finished. Who is Abbas, my friends? I just want you to think about that, and then you can start crying and see who Abbas is. And that's where the weight comes in. That's where the beauty comes in, my friends. You know, it is said that when Imam Zaman, when he is going to come back, and the Mu'mineen and the Shias are going to gather around the Imam, they're going to gather around him. And it is said that there will be millions of them. There will be millions of them. So many that it's like a sea of humanity. You can just look at it everywhere, and there'll be mu'mineen and believers who came from all over the world to support the Imam. And everyone will be saying, Labbaika ya Mahdi, Labbaika ya Mahdi. Everyone will be shouting out, Labbaika ya Mahdi. Obviously, when Imam Mahdi sees this, he should be proud. He should be happy to see so many followers, so many people ready to give their lives and to give whatever they have for Imam Mahdi. Maybe he would think of Imam Hussein and said, oh Hussein, my grandfather, I wish you had these followers. I wish you had all these followers, that you did not die like that. And he would have wished like that. You would think that way, right? But my friends, understand this. Abul Fadl Abbas, when he stood there and he stands there, it's like, for example, when you go to Arba'in, 25, 30 million people are there, and if Imam Zaman comes there and he stands in the middle of that gathering and he looks around, his heart should feel a thought of pride. Alhamdulillah, Allah has brought about so many mu'mineen out of this world in order to support us, the Ahlul Bayt. Where was this support when my grandfathers were alive? You would think he would say that. But if he was there in that gathering, and it is said in the riwayat that Imam will stand in that gathering, he would look at the millions of people who are saying Labbaik to Imam Mahdi. They are saying Labbaik to Imam Mahdi, and Imam will start looking to his right, he will start looking to his left, he will start looking for someone as if something is missing or someone is missing. We all will be there, and we all will ask him, Imam, we're all here for you. Our necks are here for you. We are ready to die for you. We are ready to die for you. What is missing? Who are you looking for? Aren't we enough for you that you are looking for someone else, that you are missing someone? Aren't we all who are ready to die for you enough for you? Imam will say, no, you're not enough for me. He says, who are you looking for? I'm looking for Abul Fadl Abbas. I'm looking for Abul Fadl Abbas. He says, but what? And when Imam will say that, it is said that all the mu'mineen will bow down, will have their heads bowed down, and then they will realize that all of us put together cannot be equal to one Abbas. So now imagine what Abbas meant for Imam Hussein. He said, Hussein has more support than me, because you are millions who came to support me, but Hussein and Abbas. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون يا محمود بحق محمد يا علاء بحق علي يا فاطر السماوات بحق فاطر يا محسن بحق حسن يا قديم الحسان بحق حسن. Lord, give us the tawfiq to be on the right path, wisdom to understand your guidance, hasten the reappearance of our Imam, make us his helper when he comes. وآخر الدعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Martin Hussein.
يا سيدي يا عباس يا أبو الفضل العباس يا سيدي يا عباس